Hi yogis, welcome to class. Happy New Year! So this class is part of a series on yoga for mindful eating, and today we are doing yoga to restore. So instead of New Year, New Me, or resolutions, or any of the things that we like detoxing and dieting and all of that craziness, instead of that, we are going to focus in today's class on restoring. So checking in, where are you, what went really well for the year, and then moving ahead. What do we need to move ahead? So this class is a tiny bit different. It's a restorative class, so it's a little brief for a restorative class. Usually we like those to be like an hour long or 45 minutes. Today we're only going to shoot for about 15 minutes. And instead of ending in our Shavasana or our meditation, we're going to end with a journal practice. So I have some prompts for you for journaling. You can turn off the recording after you are done with your practice to do the journaling. I also have a PDF for you so you can come back to that at a later time. So what do you need for today's class? You are going to need a blanket, if you have one. If not, don't worry about it. You are going to need some blocks, if you have them. I have a bolster handy. I know that most of you don't have a bolster at home, so if you have one, it's a bonus. If not, it's not the end of the world. I will show you without the bolster. Just know that you can always add those if that's part of your practice. And if you have a Miss Pie, you can have that handy as well. We are going to go ahead and get started. If not, I can loan her out. We're going to go ahead and get started. And we're actually beginning in child's pose today. So grab up your props that you might need and meet me in child's pose. All right, yogis, for today's class, we're going right to child's pose to begin. So bring your big toes to touch, and the knees are nice and wide, and we're going to sit down into our pose, and we're going to use the first several moments of our class to check in. So just bring your head to the mat. I'm going to give you a lot of space here. So settle in, find a shape that you can hold with some stillness, and use the next several rounds of breath to just scan your body. Notice what thoughts come up. Notice your breath. Notice anything that makes itself kind of appear to you. You don't have to guide your thoughts here. Since we're just checking in, let things naturally bubble to the surface. We're going to begin to move out of this shape. So if your hands are not already reaching forward, go ahead and bring them forward. From our child's pose, we're just going to start to rock forward here. Starting to come into your tabletop. Maybe you bring your knees together, walk your hands out just in front of your shoulders, and then bring the hips down to the mat. Moving with your breath or however it feels good, either just rocking back and forth here, or maybe taking some side to side, or whatever feels good. You could even do just a cat and cow. You're literally just taking movement that you need here. So since we're checking in, this is just strengthening that a little bit. Take 3 more breaths in whatever shape, whatever movement. All right. So now we're going to set up for a deer sit. I would have a block. Typically I'd use a bolster, but you can use a blanket as well here. So I'm going to fold my blanket into this little rectangle just to give it some height here. And now your right leg is going to go across the top of your mat. Your left leg is going to go behind you. So the shins are parallel to the mat, whichever one works for you. Now my hip comes up off the ground in this, so that's where the blanket comes in handy. So I'm just going to prop myself up because this is restorative. So you do want to have kind of some cushioning and some comfort. And I'm going to fold over the block. Now, if you feel like the block is kind of hard or not really comfortable to lay over, you can use the blanket, you can, get pillows, whatever works for you. So from this shape, I'm just going to turn and look over your right hip and come on down onto your forearms. And like I said, your hip comes up off the mat and you can just adjust that blanket there and then start to lower down. You can bring your head to the block, which is what I'm going to do. And don't worry too much about what this shape looks like. That's not quite as important as how it feels. So you just want to find a shape that you can settle into. And again, as we start to settle into this shape, to be here for a few moments, just notice what comes up for you. It might be a continuation of the thoughts that you had before. Maybe your mind is starting to wander in a different direction. If it feels good, you can turn your head to one side. And then let's go ahead and start to push back up. The only thing we're going to do is just swap it out for the other side. So you can either move your body or move your props. Going right to the other side. Turn and look over that back shoulder, and then settle back. Give yourself a moment to fidget, and then come right back to that body scan or noticing what's going on in your mind. You don't have to judge what the thoughts are or how you feel. Just notice what they are. In fact, trying your hardest to not judge. Maybe looking at those thoughts with the attitude of, isn't that interesting? Whatever they might be. Coming back up, moving out of this shape. You can move your props out of the way. You probably don't need them. And then swing those legs around in front of you. Bring your feet to about hip width. Hands come behind you, whatever's comfortable, and take a few side to side windshield wipers here. Going to move into our final shape. So bringing your left leg to the bottom and then just crossing your right leg over top. Now you don't have to fold the bottom leg. In fact, if you want to keep it out straight, you can absolutely do that. Or you can fold it. We don't need to make this any more complicated than it already is. So just wrapping your opposite arm around that knee and slowly looking behind you. Since this is a restorative shape, you want to just feel supported, gentle. Maybe bringing your right ear to your right shoulder. If that feels good. We don't often take time to check in. We just move through the motions of our day, going from one task to the next without really asking, how am I today? What do I need? Go ahead and just unravel, take it right to the other side. So whichever leg is on bottom, now becomes on top. So again, either just crossing that left leg over the top of the right with the right leg extended, or scooping it up underneath you. Sitting up nice and tall first, wrapping the elbow around the knee, and then looking over the back shoulder. And then maybe bringing the left ear to the left shoulder. A lot of times when we just move through the tasks of our day, we don't pay attention to how we are and what we need. We end up with eating mindlessly, or perhaps eating as a result of a trigger or an emotion. And that happens, that's okay. But if you can just put a moment, a blip in time into checking in and asking, how am I right now? What do I need? You might find that your decisions are a little bit different. Unwind, unravel. Maybe spreading your legs into a little straddle split, or your version of a straddle split, or finding your way to crisscross applesauce, whatever feels good. Moving through your neck, take a few neck stretches. Ear to shoulder, chin to chest, ear to shoulder. Over your left shoulder, looking over your right shoulder. Getting the fidgets out. Now, this is where having that journal comes in really handy. Can't see mine. And then just finding your way, grabbing perhaps that prompt sheet or whatever you're using to journal on, maybe grabbing a block. You don't need to move, just stay right where you are. You're already in this mindset of checking in. So now, take about 30 seconds to a minute with each prompt and just write whatever comes to mind. So this is a really great end of the year activity, or end of the week, or end of the day, just so that you can check in and see where you are. So, your first question, your first prompt that you can free write about is thinking back either to the year or the week or the month that has just passed, or even the day that has just passed, and what were my successes? So what did I accomplish? What was I successful at? And without any judgment, it's just for you, write down the things that you were successful at. Now try to have at least 3. If you're just looking at today, it might be a little shorter, but try to have 3 things. Just go ahead and write those 3 things down. And you can hit pause and have all the time that you need. But what were my successes? Now moving on, if you're not ready to move on, that's the beauty of a pause button. You can always hit pause, or just turn it off and use your PDF. Number 2, the second thing, what are your strengths? What are the things that you're proud to take credit for? What are the things that move you forward or maybe keep you solidly rooted where you are? What strengths do you have? Maybe it's a new strength. Maybe it's something you've been cultivating for many decades. What are my strengths? And just take a few moments and write those down. Last one, this is where I leave you, yogi. So you can go ahead and let this video just play out till the end, or you can hit stop. But this is a big one, so really sit with this one based on what your success were, what your strengths are, and your check-in from the practice. What do I need right now? It can be anything. What are the things, maybe they're internal, maybe they're external. What do I need in this moment? What do I need today? And just take some time, write it out, just let it flow onto the page. What do I need right now?